Alright, we're on page 13. Shulchan Aruch chapter Kuf Nun Zayin 157. We mentioned in the last chapter of Shulchan Aruch that a person has to eat a meal. After they pray, after they study, they have to have breakfast. So Maran now wants to tell you what time of day do you have to have breakfast by? Which is in a hotel. You know, breakfast is served from 7 till 10. You come at 10 to 1, there's no more breakfast there. So there's which time of day do you have to eat breakfast? Alright. Says Maran, Zman Kviat Seudah, the time of Kvi'ah, of establishing Seudah, of eating your meal. Uvo Seif Echad, there's one halakha in this chapter, just one. So what's that one? Aleph. Kshiagia Shaar Revi'it, when the 4th hour comes around, Yikba Seudato, he should eat his breakfast. I'll explain hours in this. Vim hu Talmid Chacham, and if he's a Torah scholar, Vosek b'limudon, he's busy studying Torah. Because the procession was we go from the Bet Knesset, from praying to then studying Torah. From studying Torah, we go to eat. So let's say he's a Torah scholar, he studies more than the average person. So, Yamtin ad Shah Shishit, he can wait until the 6th hour. So he gains 2 hours over here. V'lo yacher yoter dahavi kezorek even lechamad. And you shouldn't wait later than that because it's considered a negative thing. The exact translation of the sentence, I'm not sure I could help you with. So, Tzafra is morning. You wake up in the morning, you count 4 hours, you have your breakfast. What does 4 hours mean? How do you count 4 hours? So, our rabbis tell us first and foremost, let's read the notes here at the bottom. Zman Kviut Seudah, 4.
4 hours.
From when? Very good. Amru Chazal, our rabbis say, Shaar Revi'it Ma'achal Kol Adam. At the 4th hour is a time for every person to eat. Shaar Chamishit, the 5th hour, Ma'achal Po'alim. That's when the workers eat. Shaar Shishit, at the 6th hour, Ma'achal Talmidei Chachamim. That's when the Torah scholars eat. V'hainu, meaning, Shera'ui L'chol Adam, it's fitting for every person, Shikba Seudato, that they should have breakfast, B'chol Yom B'Sha'ar Revi'it, every day at the 4th hour. And obviously then, if he's a worker, at the 5th hour, and if a Torah scholar, at the 6th hour. V'sha'ot elu, the next paragraph. These hours. Yesh l'chashev misha'a shekam mimitato. Yesh l'chashev, you should calculate them. Misha'a shekam mimitato, from when you wake up from your bed. Ad sha'a sheba rechol, until the time in which you go to eat. V'yesh l'chashev ha'sha'ot b'sha'ot zmaniot. And we have to use what's called sha'ot zmaniot. I've explained this before. Do you remember what sha'ot zmaniot are? Halachic hours? How do you calculate a halakhic hour?
You divide between sunrise and sunset
in
in
12 parts, and then you count 4 of those. So there are times where sunrise and sunset are closer together and are farther together, depending on winter and summer. You can have an hour that is really 35 minutes of a regular hour, and you can have an hour that is 70 minutes of a regular hour. Depends on when the sun rises and the sun sets. All the next halachot have to do with how do you calculate the 4th hour, what about a Torah scholar, what about this? It's not that I don't find the Shulchan Aruch relevant, I just don't find these halachot so applicable. So we're just going to skip them, if it's okay with you. The bottom line is, pray, study a little bit, go eat breakfast, then go do what you need to do with your day. I'm afraid we start adding halachic hours, we're going to have, I eat in the 4th hour according to the Vilna Gaon. I eat in the 5th hour according to that. And then we're going to start a world of, what time do you eat breakfast? What time I eat breakfast? Oh, I can't eat breakfast at your house because it's going to be I'm afraid of these halachot turning into something already like the other halachot that we have, and so let's just leave them where they are. The order of the day is more important than the time of the day.
Is it by the time or at the time?
It seems like there's two elements there. By the time, meaning at the time, meaning giving yourself a certain amount of time to study, but by the time, meaning you shouldn't starve until midday and then not eat by then, which is why a rabbi say if you taste something beforehand, so it's not so bad.
So it says by the 4th hour or at the 4th hour. Which is it? It's a little bit different.
Except that to tell somebody eat right at the time on the clock seems a little...
You know what it would look like in the Jewish breakfast community?
However you want to hit the table. Well, it's like Kiddush on Saturday. As soon as it's out.
What's relevant to us is on page 15.
That's 16?
15. When we study Torah, you have to know what not to get stuck on. It takes knowledge of what do you get stuck on, what do you not get stuck on. There are things that our generation does that generations before nobody did. And not because they're not halachot, they're real halachot, they're mentioned, but for some reason our forefathers and mothers and rabbis didn't feel like it was such a big deal. Today, all of a sudden, it's become a world of an issue. In Kashrut, we have this problem. On Shabbat, we have this problem. On day-to-day living, we have this problem. On Tefillin, we have all kinds of things. Tefillah, we have this problem. It's become a... They almost joke that whatever it says Shulchan Aruch, we skip unless it's in a little footnote. It says, no one ever did this, but if you wanted to, and then that's what everyone starts doing. It's a very strange Judaism that we have floating around the block. There are certain things that you all know about that we never used to do. For example, bread. Pat Yisrael, having bread that only baked by Jews. Aside from the Arizal and his students, the Kabbalists, since the times of the Talmud, nobody kept this halakha. Meaning, it wasn't a halakha. It was when the Jewish people for 2,000 years decided not to do something. It's not it tells you something. Today there's like an upsurge and this is Pat Yisrael, this is people, they go crazy. The pretzels are the pretzels, someone in my house. I don't know if the cookies are Pat Yisrael, it depends if you consider my wife Jewish or not. That's already up to you, I'm not sure. It's a strange world. Why of all the things to grab onto this one? I don't know what to say.
Maybe there's just less like real spirituality, real connection to Hashem. So it's more of the intellectual stuff.
It could be. It could be, I don't know.
It's an abstract.
Tefillin. Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. 2,000 years, people put on one pair of tefillin. Who's allowed to put on Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? Shulchan Aruch says there's one kind of person who's allowed to put on an extra pair of tefillin.
Oh, it's a tzaddik.
A tzaddik, someone who's muchzak b'chasidut. The whole community knows they're the most righteous person in the community. The Mishnah Berurah brings down a story of a man who started putting on Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, and the rabbi of the town came and ripped it off his head. He said, "Who are you? You think the whole world thinks you're a chassid? You're not. You're a nobody." Today, almost to the contrary. So who puts on Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? Every 13-year-old kid. So it's nothing special anymore to put on Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. I mean, the whole point of Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin went out the window anyways. It's fine. People didn't do things for certain minhagim like this. I just don't know what to tell you. So, page 15. Hanhagot tovot. Good hanhagot. What are hanhagot? It's similar to which other word? Custom, minhag. It's the same idea. Good actions. Kodem Masuda. Good things to do before the meal. And this is one of those awkward halachot from the first chapters of Shulchan Aruch we did a few years ago. Kodem shiochal sudato, before a person eats.
Before meal, before breakfast.
Yeah, before his breakfast. Yeah. Kodem shiochal sudato, before a person eats his meal. Yivdok atzmo yafe yafe. He should check himself very well. Im hu tzarich kavav, if he needs to go to the bathroom. He, interchangeable.
So actually, I think that's changed.
Umivad sheyesh zetam al pi asod, and even though there's a reason for this, according to Kabbalah, that one should go to the bathroom before they eat. Yesh b'zeh to'alet gdola lebriyut ha'adam. It's also healthy for a person on a medical level, to check if they need to go to the bathroom before they eat.
It's very sound reasons.
The Talmud mentions this, the Rambam mentions this, the Shulchan Aruch is not mentioning it actually, but we're bringing it down anyways. So there's an interesting piece of Zohar now that we're going to quote. To understand what we're quoting, let's be honest about the Zohar for just a minute. The Zohar, there are a few opinions about the book of the Zohar. The Zohar is a Kabbalistic work. Now, Kabbalah exists outside of the Zohar. We've had Kabbalah in the Jewish community for as long as you can remember. But this specific work of Kabbalah, called the Zohar, has been referred to in earlier texts, but we didn't have it. We just didn't have that book. And then all of a sudden, one day, the book is discovered by Rabbi Moshe de Leon in Spain. The time of the discovery, does someone know the exact years? About 1400, something around there. All of a sudden, Kabbalah explodes. The world is taken by storm. Zohar, the Arizal comes afterwards. He invents a kind of Kabbalah called Lurianic Kabbalah, which is different than the Kabbalah that we had beforehand. How is it different? That's really you can ask a Kabbalist the differences between the different kinds of Kabbalah. Just like you have in Judaism many different kinds, also in Kabbalah you have many different disciplines of Kabbalah. It's not all the same. The Zohar comes out, and it's a book. You can imagine the Jewish people are pretty suspicious of any books they didn't hear about. Some people say this book, it's the Zohar we've always been missing. Some people say this is a forgery, we don't believe it. In academia, the scholars seem to side with the second opinion. I don't care much for academia, and for that, if you want to research that, that's already up to you. But what I can tell you is there are a few main opinions. You have the opinion of the mainstream Mekubalim, who will tell you, like Rav Ashlag once writes, that if you told me that Moshe Rabbeinu himself wrote the Zohar, I would believe it. That's how much he believes that it's divine. The Zohar is officially written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That's the story of the Zohar. You have the extreme opposite group. Let's find in Yemen, you'll find a group called the Dor Deim. And literally the Dor De'ah, the generation of knowledge, those who refuse to accept the Zohar. They believe the Zohar is a pagan work that's full of idol worship and turning God into different parts, into different characters, into different sphirot, and different worlds. This is not for us. We believe in one God, that's what we've been saying for thousands of years. We're not going to change it now. And then you have the middle camp. Rabbi Yosef Masas alludes to this in his Otzara Michtavim, in his book of letters, and he says, what can I tell you? Some things in the Zohar are from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Some things in the Zohar, there's no way that they came from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He said, Lashon HaZohar Mishubash. The language of the Zohar is confused. It's messed up. He said, you could tell Sheyad Zarim Shaltabo, that the hand of strangers, foreigners, has been involved in the writing of the Zohar. And maybe I can explain this to you in the way that sometimes you'll find pieces of the Talmud and they contradict other pieces of the Talmud, and then you'll see on the side it says this is not actually part of the Talmud. There was a great rabbi who was writing notes in his Talmud, and when the publisher in town came to reprint the Talmud, he thought these notes were missing words of the Talmud, and he just printed it as the language of the Talmud. But it's really not. It's just someone else's notes stuck in the middle of the Talmud. It seems like with the Zohar, it was written over time. Different people contributed to this canon called the Zohar, and it's for this reason that in halakha you'll often hear, listen, you can believe the Zohar all you want, but when it comes to halakha, we don't change halakha because of what it says in the Zohar. When the Zohar says something, if you want to act on it, you can, but it's not binding on the Jewish people. This could be for two reasons. One, either because who wrote halakha? What is when you have 100 sages and 3 argue and 97 tell you that it's X, 3 tell you Y. How do you decide halakha?
Majority.
For the majority. So who wrote the Zohar according to those? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, as great as he is only one. So he can't possibly argue with the majority. That's one rationale for why we don't follow Kabbalah over halakha. But the second and the more common understanding is it's not going to come and shake up our foundations of psikat halakha, of rendering legal decisions, just because there's a Zohar that shows up. And Rabbi Shalom Masas, he writes us, the cousin of Rabbi Yosef that I just mentioned. He says, Divrei the words of Kabbalah lo nemru were only said lematzni'ehem bilvad, to those who are trusted with the secrets of Kabbalah. Meaning, it's not for the masses. The Arizal, he could do what he needs to do according to Kabbalah, but that's not for everybody. So what I'm going to read to you now is from the Zohar. But understand that just because it's from the Zohar doesn't mean everyone has to do it. Amru b'Zohar Kadosh, a rabbi saying in the Zohar in Parshat B'Shalach, she'en la'adam levashel ochel miyom echad yom acher. A person shouldn't cook food from one day for the next day. They shouldn't eat leftovers.
Where are you reading here?
Page 15.
Yeah, but where?
Gimel.
Gimel? Okay. Thank you.
V'chen, and also, en la'adam la'ashir ochel miyom echad yom acher. So not only should you not cook from Monday to Tuesday, you shouldn't leave over your leftovers from Monday for Tuesday. What's the reason for this? Says the Zohar. Kedei shivakesh, in order so that he may ask me'et Hashem yitbarach, from Hashem, mizonotav b'chol yom. He should ask for Hashem for his food every day. If I know that I have food in my refrigerator, so I don't ask Hashem so much, because at breakfast I know already what I have planned for lunch and dinner. It's based on whatever leftovers I have from Shabbat. So the Zohar says you get used to this way of asking Hashem. And then Hashem will get almost into the habit, so to speak, of blessing your food every day.
Is that related to the month? The idea?
It could be. We have to look at the Zohar inside and see what the Zohar actually says.
Because you're not allowed to collect for the next day.
Right. It seems like there's this idea of trust in Hashem that tomorrow you're also going to have food. Don't pretend to be Hashem. But in any case, bizmanenu, nowadays, there's no Jewish community that follows this teaching. It's a normal thing for people to eat things today that they made yesterday.
They didn't have a refrigerator.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking back.
Okay, don't get carried away by the detail here. Your bread can last outside of a refrigerator. There's things that last outside of a refrigerator. There's a lot of things in a person's refrigerator that don't belong in a refrigerator. There's things that I don't even know why they're in the refrigerator in the first place. There's some things, if you put them outside of your refrigerator, even the ants wouldn't eat it.
Right.
So you don't even have to worry about putting it in the refrigerator. And people already cook food for a few days in advance. They freeze them so that it shouldn't get ruined or it shouldn't lose its taste. And also, people shop for food in one shop, one shopping visit, even for a few days. In Israel, this is still common for a person to go every morning to buy what they need for that day: bread, milk, eggs, sugar. What?
Do you want tissue?
Maybe. Just think. Go to Israel, all my allergies go away. Come back to San Diego.
Oh no.
Thank you. In America, already people go to Costco. They stock up for food for a whole year. The Great Depression. They never run out of food in their house. There's a certain kind of milk on one side of the store. Nah, it could be I'm just exaggerating. This milk, they thought it could last on the shelf for a few years.
What?
Really?
Yeah, it's called. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's
Don't
not
wanna know.
cold. It's not cold. It's called. There's a word for it. Not condensed milk. It's in a can. No. It looks like a soy milk container. You know what I'm talking about? It's shelf milk. Once you open it, you have 7 days to use it. But it could say it's an expiration date 2020. And I don't know what's in that milk or not in that milk. I'm not telling you to drink it. What I'm telling you is, today there are people who buy things for literally a year or two in advance. There's something that's done already. It seems that because people are not doing this because they're afraid that they won't have food tomorrow. That's not the reason why people are stocking up. Why do they stock up?
It's convenient.
It's to save them times. They don't have to go shopping tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Yeah, every few days they go to the store. There is no concern that a person is lacking faith in Hashem. that Hashem blesses them. They believe that Hashem blesses them and take care of their food. It's not because they don't believe that Hashem is going to make food for them tomorrow. It's just because it's convenient for them. The Kol Shekem B'Talmid Chacham. How much more so is this true for a Torah scholar? שרוצה לקנות ולהכין מזונותיו בפעם אחת לצורך כמה ימים, that he buys and prepares his food for a few days in advance, כדי שלא יצטרך לבטל מתורתו בכל יום ויום. So they won't have to spend so many hours in the kitchen cooking. מכל מקום, but the bottom line is, how do you make the Zohar happy? ייזהר כל אדם לבקש על מזונותיו מאת השם יתברך בכל יום ויום. Pray to Hashem every day for your food, even though you know it's in the refrigerator. Pray to Hashem for your parnasah, even though you know you have money in the bank account. Pray to Hashem even though you know you have a job. Just make sure that Kadosh Baruch Hu always hears from you. I'm not buying food today for the next 2 days because I don't believe in you and I'm afraid that you're not going to feed me tomorrow. It just says it's convenient. So tomorrow I'll show you. I'll pray tomorrow also. Just to get themselves used to living a life like this. Right, here's another interesting halakha on page 16. Now, understand that none of these things were mentioned by the Shulchan Aruch. So these are not binding on you. Don't go home and start making up new halachot. These are simply other teachings that the rabbis around the Shulchan Aruch have shared, and we're quoting them. But it's not mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch, and that means that Maran didn't think that it was something compelling on anybody to do. We're just sharing extra information. I'm going to tell you that according to Derech Eretz, don't do this at your table. What I'm going to read now, don't do it. I've seen people do it. Not because of halakha, just because they're unrefined individuals. But kodem shiatchil le'echol, before a person eats, you ready? Yatir chagurato. He should open his belt. V'natnu remez lezeh me'apasuk. And they even bring a hint to this from the pasuk. It's a pasuk in Bereshit that says, "Vekecha pat lechem." I will take a loaf of bread. Ekecha, those letters, Aleph, Kuf, Chet, Hey. Rashet tevot lemafreya. If they're an acronym, backwards. What does it mean? Not forwards, backwards. It stands for Hater, undo, Chagura, your belt. Kodem, before, Achila, you eat. We're not done yet. That's the word vayakecha. What about the word pat lechem, loaf of bread? The loaf of bread stands for the acronym of pen, lest, tavo, you come, lidei, choli me'ayim, to an intestinal disease. If you don't undo your belt, it could be dangerous for your intestines.
Next time I'm at your house, Eli, I'm going to check on you.
It bothers some rabbis that we did the first acronym backwards. So in the notes, he brings another acronym that goes the right direction. You ready for this? Look in the Rashi script, in the script on the left-hand side.
Who wrote this?
Who wrote that?
Yeah.
The Prisha. It's a famous rabbi, the Prisha, the Bach,
So that was
the
his,
Shirei Knesset Gdula, some big rabbis.
that's his opinion. And
It's not a halakha. This is it. But in this generation, I could see someone writing a book, like 300 pages, on the halachot of undoing your belt before the meal. We live in this kind of generation. Someone could give an hour shiur on this. Maran didn't even find it important to mention. I mean, halachot are like this, the Maran doesn't even mention them. The Maran doesn't. This is not the Shulchan Aruch. This is the Rabbi David said.
Oh.
So look 3 lines up at the bottom of the Rashi script. Remember the word is va'ekecha. V'kodem, and before achila you eat. Kesher, the knot of chagurcha, your belt, hater, undo. So he managed to make the same sentence, but in the right direction. Now we're all laughing here, right? because this is a funny thing to read. Not so much the belt is funny, as much as let's try to show you through acronyms what the verse says that you should undo your belt. There are 4 ways to study Torah. What are the 4 ways?
Shaar.
Pshat. What is
Remez.
pshat? What is pshat?
The literal.
The simple. What is simple? Simple is not simple. When we say simple,
It's more like a literal meaning. Without reading
It's
into
pure
it.
meaning.
pshat is a hard work to get pshat. What is
It's
the
like
Torah
Einstein.
actually telling you? What does it
Right.
mean? Translate the words for me. Don't tell me now stories and midrashim. Tell me what it means.
Make it simpler, but no simpler.
There's a famous teaching. You hear this all the time. People, whenever they see something, a bad Jewish person, they say, it says, Me'arsaich u'machrivaich, those who destroy you, memech yitzeu, they'll come out of you. Meaning, the people who destroy the Jewish people the worst are the Jews that are not good. But it's not what the prophet actually says. We're getting a blessing to the Jewish people. Me'arsaich u'machrivaich, those that destroy you, memech yitzeu, they should leave you alone. They should go out of you. They should go away. So what's pshat in this pasuk? Is the second one. That all those who try to destroy the Jewish people should go away. What's the next level? Remez. Let's skip it. What's the next one? What's after the remez?
No, so
That's
the
the
last
end.
one. That's a
Pardes. Pshat.
Oh,
Remez.
yeah. What?
Adalit.
Oh,
Drash.
gosh.
What is drash? Adrasha. Midrash. It's to use the words and to come out with the other ideas that are involved in the words. That's what we're doing. Drash is, not only does it mean that your enemies will leave you alone, but even those Jews that are in you, they should leave. Is that the simple meaning of the verse? No. Is it a wrong way to read it? Not necessarily, as long as you're not trying to convince anyone that that's what it actually means.
It's extrapolation.
What is sod?
Secrets.
The secrets. Secrets can be all kinds of things. I'm not dealing with the sod. Let's just reverse back to the resh. What do you say the resh was?
Remez.
Remez. Tell me about remez. What does remez mean?
Can't remember.
You're adding on.
What is the word remez?
Hint.
A hint. Very good. To allude to something. It's not actually there, but we're going to hint to it. Today, we have a lot of appreciation for Pshat. We have a lot of appreciation for Kabbalah. We even have appreciation for the Midrash. Little Midrash says, the big Midrash says, adult Midrash says, all kinds of Midrashim. When someone speaks in Remez, we don't have any appreciation for them. They tell you the numerical value of a word, or they tell you the acronym of a word. Nobody in the world of Remez is actually thinking that that's what the verse means. All they're trying to say is, look, what you know to be the simple meaning of the verse, I can show you through the letters in the verse that that's also what it means. I'm giving you a remez. I'm trying to show you that the idea that you are understanding is also found inside of the Torah. It says you're going to eat bread. Of course, that we know. But if I can show you that in the letters of eating bread is hinted to this idea of undoing your belt, so it's not a proof. You can't prove anything, but that's not what the verse actually means. But it's a nice remez. It's a nice thing to add on to give an extra dose of strength to this custom. That's remez. We don't have a lot of appreciation in the world today for remez. The reason why, it's been abused.
Is the codes?
Yeah,
Have
the
a-
codes, the gematrias, the hold this letter upside down in front of the mirror, all kinds of crazy things that people do today. That's almost all you hear anymore. The golden calf, no, it wasn't gold, really, because the word zahav, you flip it upside down, it means silver, really. Silver was a horse, it was an account. All of a sudden you get confused, like what actually happened in the Chumash? That is, people have abused this power. But there were Chachmei HaRemez, people who are geniuses with the idea of Remez. Like who? The most famous of them all? Baal HaTurim, very good. Who's the Baal HaTurim? He's the son of the Rosh. He is the Tur.
Oh,
Baal HaTurim, the master of the Turim. He wrote the Shulchan Aruch. The first one. Before Rabbi Yosef Karo. He was the first son of an Ashkenazi rabbi to be born in a Sephardic country.
Oh, you mentioned this.
His father was the Ashkenazi rabbi who left Ashkenaz to become the rabbi in Spain. And he was born as an Ashkenazi boy, but in Spain. Interesting personality, because he's torn. Am I this or am I that? Am I where I come from? It's one of the first situations of Jews that we have like that. Also tells you that it's one of the earliest times we know of that a rabbi from a different community was accepted by another community as the rabbi.
Yeah.
There are many Moroccan customs that are seemingly Ashkenazi customs, but they're not really Ashkenazi customs. They're simply this community of Spain accepted this Ashkenazi rabbi as their rabbi, and then after the Spanish Inquisition, they fled to Morocco, and they brought these 1,000-year-old customs with them. It's not that they were Ashkenazi-fied at some point. Their rabbi was an Ashkenazi rabbi. Big deal. It's like in the Hasidic community, many Sephardic customs running around because the Sephardic tradition is much of what the Hasidut is based on. Okay, now he's going to add another detail here. Vim en chagurato, back to the top, 16, the second 4 lines down. Vim en chagurato mehudeket al gufo bechozka. If the belt is not so tight on his body, en tzarich la'atira kodem mechilato, you don't have to undo it when you eat.
Thank you.
What is tight? You ever seen how bar mitzvah boys put on tefillin?
Oh, yeah, very tight.
The circulation in their hand is not like the chazan should hurry up because we might have to take him to the emergency room. It's like their hand is turning blue and purple. And you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this before? Yeah, especially with the Sfaradim, they do the special shin, which makes it like their whole finger popping out over there, and it's a scary thing to see. Some people, they wear their clothing like that. You almost wonder how they got them on in the morning. It's like the British soldiers, back in the olden days. Unbelievable. American soldiers were fighting for this country, and the British, they were so busy getting into uniform and having bands, marching to war. It was an unbelievable experience. But they mentioned that their clothing was so tight that they would have to soak it in water first in order to slide it on their body.
Really?
That's how they sent their soldiers in war.
I've never sat down.
Bright red colors. I mean, this is
Yeah.
like total European disaster in the new country. But that's, I think, sometimes I see people, I'm like, wow, it's just a miracle that your shirt is still staying on. And your pants didn't rip off of you. It's an incredible thing. So here, unless you're wearing clothing like that, you don't have to undo your belt. Now this next halakha is an important one. This is actually halakha.
Okay.
Yeah, hey. Someone have an English Rambam in their phone? Let me just pull one up for you because I want to make sure that
Torah?
it's a Mishnah Torah. I have it. Okay. Ho'il. Ketav Rabbeinu HaRambam. Rabbeinu the Rambam writes in the 4th chapter of the Laws of Deot. The Laws of Deot is a very deep halachic work that the Rambam wrote. Today's world doesn't appreciate Hilchot Deot very much. It's in English for free. If you want, Chabad.org has the whole writing of the Rambam for free in English with a commentary.
And with audio.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
I don't know if it's the whole thing, but
Ho'il v'heyot haguf, being that the body is bari v'shalem, is healthy and complete, midarchei Hashem hu, that's one of the ways of Hashem. Hashem creates a body healthy and complete. It's important, meaning one of the ways to reach Hashem is with a healthy and complete body. This is what the Rambam was saying. Shari efshar she'avinu yedav v'hu cholem. It's impossible for a person to be able to truly know Hashem if he causes his body to be sick. Tzarich adam la'achik atzmo, a person must therefore distance themselves midvarim hame'abdim et haguf, from anything that causes destruction to the body. Ulehanhig atzmo, and to accustom himself bidvarim hamvarim hamachlimin, to all those things that are healthy and are healing for his body. He's going to list a few things as examples. Ve'eluhen, and these are some of his examples. I mean, that sentence is a sentence in its own right. Now he's giving examples. These are just some of the things, but anything could fall into this category. Ve'eluhen, le'olam lo yochal adam. A person should never eat ela k'shur ra'ev, unless he's hungry. Ve'lo yishteh, and he should not drink ela k'shur tzameh, unless he is thirsty. You're sometimes in places where people, you know, when you see this, I was once a mashgiach in a hotel. I gave supervision to a wedding that happened in a hotel. And there was, I wouldn't be exaggerating, it was 6 or 7 courses they served over. And the time 7 course, and I'm not talking about dessert, that's already another thing. The 7th course is rolling out. People are swallowing food like they had never seen food in their life. You know how, when I realized how bad it was, when one of the waiters came to ask me if that's how Jews always eat. It's very embarrassing for me. I was like, oh, what do you say then? What do you tell people? He's never had a group in his life serve that much food. It was such as go to these Pesach hotels. Like the whole purpose is to drown you in food. In fact, now we just had interesting conversations.
Great days.
In these 9 days, there are special restaurants that open up in the East Coast that are meant to serve you the most fancy non-meat foods, because you can't have meat, right? Because you're mourning the destruction. But you can have a $300 plate of fish, right? Because that's not mourning, you know. This is already like designer foods. They bring in gourmet chefs from around the world. And clearly, somebody missed the point. Like, we're not skipping meat. We're skipping that whole overindulgence in the body because we're mourning the destruction of our temple. It has nothing to do with meat. You have people that will eat, they're not even hungry, so what are you eating for? You're not thirsty, what are you drinking for? This is a dangerous thing to translate because I'm sure that I'm not choshed on this, but other people I'm sure fall in this. A person should not wait to go to the bathroom even for 1 minute. A famous Gemara, the rabbi had to go to the bathroom, but he was in the middle of speaking to a few thousand people. So what should he do? He told the students to bring a sheet, and they held up a sheet in front of the audience. He went to the bathroom, they moved the sheet, he kept teaching. I'm not telling you this, no, we're not, don't worry. No new Kehillat Shaar HaShamayim customs are happening here, don't worry, relax. But it's important, I mean, nothing is important enough that you can't say, I need to go to the bathroom. It's not good for your body.
Well, you could be tzniut to say, we'll take a break here.
Well, of course, you're right. I'm not. ושם העריך הרמב"ם לבאר סדר אכילת והנהגת האדם בבריאות, and over there in הלכות דעות the Rambam talks a lot about different healthy things he recommends. ומאיזה מאכלים יש להימנע מלאכול, and all kinds of foods he recommends you not eating. וסיים הרמב"ם, and the Rambam concludes with the following words: וכל המנהיג עצמו, anyone who accustoms himself בדרכים אלו, in these ways. Look at page 17 in the middle of the page. Shehoreni, the Shehorenu that we have taught. Anyone who follows these things that I've taught, Ani arev lo, I will be his guarantor. Sheino bali de choli kol yamav, he will not be sick his entire life. Ad sheyaskin harbe v'yamut, even when he gets very old and he'll die, ve'no tzarich lerofei, he won't need a doctor. V'shiyeh gufo shalem, and his body will be complete. V'omed ad b'rio kol yamav, and will be strong until the end of his days. It says, "V'roi l'chol adam shilmad hetev divrei haRambam sham." It's fitting for every person to study the words of the Rambam there. V'yanhig atzmo tamid al pi dvarav, and you should accustom yourself to follow what he writes. And then he mentions here a number of other books that talk about good things that one should do during the meal. And he said it's a good thing to do them, and the person will be blessed for following them. We talk a lot about things that Jews should do, things that Jews shouldn't do. There's a famous tshuva from Rabbi Yosef when he's asked if a person is allowed to smoke on Yom Tov. Can you light a cigarette and smoke on Yom Tov? So Rabbi Yosef deals with the question of lighting a cigarette, smoking a cigarette, and then he says, but it's irrelevant because it's not healthy to smoke in the first place. I mean, to answer the question we can answer. Like if you ask a parent which blessing to make on certain kinds of foods, he won't tell you. Why? It's just, you shouldn't be eating them in the first place. No, it's like that. I remember once we came into the, people used to make siyum. Like, you make a siyum, you bring food. And once he came into the room and he saw there were bottles of Coca-Cola on the table. And he said he's not going to do the siyum until the bottles go away. He doesn't want his yeshiva. And people laughed and they hid them, and then when he left, they came out again. But I mean, they didn't understand what he was trying to tell them. Certain things are just, one has to know how to live a healthy life. And I'm speaking to myself also. Everyone has something to work on. There's something that's there's certain things that a person has to do and not to do, and to attempt for, and to keep trying. Because if a person is all the time sick and they're always having headaches and I had a charuta. I could tell he probably finished a bottle of Tylenol every week. I can't tell you. It's unbelievable how much medication this guy took. For headaches, for backaches, for this aches, But the guy, he lived a life like an animal lives his life. And so, how often do you think he was really able to sit down and study? When was he really able to pray? He didn't have that ability to just sit and breathe and be happy. I remember there was a certain time in my life I had bronchitis. And it was very difficult. To pray is difficult, and to eat is difficult, to talk to people is difficult, to teach classes. It's very difficult. Baruch Hashem, it goes away and you tell yourself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how does a person live with something like this their whole life? It would be impossible. You want to sing a song on the Shabbat table and you can't even do it. Every time you sing, it's an attempt. I'm not saying, God forbid, about people who have, to the contrary. If you're healthy and you're able to maintain your health, it's part of your Avodat Hashem. Because if we get distracted by all the problems that we can have in this world, so some problems we can't avoid. We can't. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his plans, and there are things but there are things we can avoid. There are things we can avoid. If we don't avoid them, then it becomes our problem. We've never been at someone's bedside at a hospital. As a rabbi, I've unfortunately been at many people's bedsides in the hospital. Nobody would ever tell you, I wish I could have had one more cigarette. Everybody would tell you, would you want just another day to be with your wife or your kids, with your grandchildren? Everybody would say yes. So don't wait until then. Our rabbis already have a method. Skol Yom Mitah, to remember sometimes that we're not going to be here forever, and to plan accordingly, to live our life, to extend our life as much as humanly possible. It's part of our Avodat Hashem, and Maran dedicates a halakha and Shulchan Aruch for this. Now, what time you eat, what time you don't eat, that's already something else. But to eat breakfast is healthy, says Maran. You have to start off your day as a strong person, to start off your day eating something. When? After tefillah. When? After you study something. What happens when you pray at 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning? You're going to wait till after you pray, it's already like tomorrow by the time you eat. It's a mistake. In Batei Knesset, in Yerushalayim, I don't think there was a Shabbat that I didn't start my lunch by 10 o'clock. You pray at 7, you pray at 7:30, whatever. Who waits until 9:30 to pray? We wait, unfortunately. But that's something you can do forever. At a certain point, it becomes shibud. Now you're in synagogue until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Once told our parents that we stay here 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's crazy. Every year is going to be, every Shabbat is Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Nah, okay, nobody's complaining. But there's what to be said about taking care of yourself, taking care of the way you eat, taking care of the way. So Hashem should help us, that we should all be healthy, that all those people who are not healthy should have health with Hashem, so they could focus themselves on the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to focus themselves on the things that are important, and I'm sure that if we try, Hashem will do the rest. I wish you have a beautiful evening, everyone.